So, Councillor Justin Scott, welcome. And the same as before, please. Can we please be succinct and keep it to 1 minute? Please.
1 minute for 2 questions?
No, yes, 1 minute for 2 questions. People keep sneaking in more and more questions on one question. So, 1 minute for 2 questions. 1 minute for 3 questions. 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Right. The technical term for Milton Road and Histon Road is corridors. The human term for it is residential streets or roads. Similarly, the technical term for residential roads, which are neighbouring to that, is side streets. The human word for it is residential streets. I refer to my question on trees and verges, and I ask that this Assembly make concrete, categorical and non-negotiable confirmation that the trees and the verges on both these roads will be maintained or returned after any construction work is done, and that this concrete, categorical and non-negotiable confirmation go to the board with a request that proper landscaping be done in relation to these, and that there be no denial of the fact that verges and trees should come properly back after any construction. Thank you.
No, thank you, and thank you for that time. Appreciate it. Mr. Walmsley, are you responding to this one? Mr. Minnis.
Yes. I think we respond to that saying yes, it would be our intention, and we're sure that the board will keep us to that, that we would make sure that all work was done in such a way that we enhance the urban realm. So what we can put back in terms of grass verges, planting, trees, etc., we want to be the highest possible standard, and we expect to hold to that.
And hopefully not over
Councillor, I'm sorry, there's been a fainting. Okay, so that was the one specific question on the Histon Road. I'm now going on to Milton Road. Michael Bond, welcome. Again, 1 minute, please.
The inbound bus stop at Union Lane is the single biggest cause of rush hour delay in Milton Road. Because every time a bus stops there, it holds up all the traffic behind it and blocks the junction. Why has the City DOT not made moving it to the other side of the junction to sit at the end of the bus lane a preferred option? Stop buses on that side would not delay other traffic, and delays to limited stop services could be minimised by sensible timetabling, or they could overtake the stationary bus, something they can only do at the present location if there is no traffic coming the other way. This suggestion has been made each time the closure of Union Lane has been proposed in the past and ignored. The only alternative to that junction for us in Chesterton is to use the roundabout at Elizabeth Way, which is operated at 167% of capacity, and that was 15 years ago. It's got worse since. So please do the sensible thing and recommend this solution and leave the access to Union Lane open for the residents of Chesterton. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect time. Thank you very much, officers. Mr. Walmsley.
Thank you, Chair. The idea of closing Union Lane is considered essential as part of the overall deliverability of the scheme. We do recognise, however, that the position of the bus stops outside of Union Lane can be reviewed again, and we're looking to do that as part of the next stage of design, which I'll be going on to as part of the presentation over the coming months.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. Dean Hyatt.
Sorry, minutes have to go.
Okay. Well, you definitely know the format. 1 minute, please.
Yes, I know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm reading her handwriting, so just give me a break. Okay. Before detailed design work is carried out for Milton and Histon Roads or any other approaches to the city, I think the Assembly will agree that it will be simple good practice to review the schemes already in place, specifically Hills Road and Huntington Road. The success of the safety, functionality and aesthetic design in both of these areas need to be assessed before moving on to new parts of the city. In their report to the board, will the Assembly include a recommendation that such a review will be carried out with input from residents, people who walk, people who cycle, disabled groups, environment, heritage organisations, architects, as well as highway engineers, before any plans are made for Cambridge's other approach roads, which are also neighbourhoods, not corridors. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Officers?
What I always said about Milton Road is that we're already seeing big increasing cycle use on both of these routes, so that in terms of their main objectives have been successful. Some very positive responses to floating bus stops. What we would recognise that some of the work done on landscaping is not been as successful as it could have been. Major issues vehicle overruns of the we tend to see them in these areas, and it hasn't all worked well. We have to recognise that. It is an issue in terms of developing proposals elsewhere of the need to make sure we don't get vehicle overruns occurring on the landscaped areas.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Mark, that's it. Thank you.
Just to clarify, what we're seeing on Hills Road is delivery vehicles driving onto these seeding planted areas and seriously damaging them. And if you look on Milton Road, a lot of the grass verges, there are things that offer vehicles put on them now, which is why I think the proposals you'll see the suggestion of these parking areas are the landscaping areas. That's something that's all for public consultation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next question is from Mike Sargent, it's one of the 10 members, in case we've lost track. Councillor Scott.
One of the major aims of the Milton Road scheme is to ensure that cycling and pedestrians cyclists and pedestrians can move safely. However, a huge factor militating against this is the conditions of Mitchell's Corner. Therefore, we ask that the City Deal Assembly and ultimately the board resolve to complete the design phase of Mitchell's Corner this summer, ensure Tranche 1 addresses the issues of cycling and pedestrians at Mitchell's Corner so as to encourage these activities there, that it completes the major changes to highway layout at Mitchell's Corner, including removal of the gyratory system at the earliest possible time in Tranche 2. Therefore, we say it should be prioritised for Tranche 2, and that this should include a bus interchange, so it's not necessary to complete journeys by changing in the city centre.
Thank you for that. I do see that there's a second question over there, and I'll ask officers to answer that on your behalf as well, so thank you. Officers.
The idea of Mitchell's Corner, we did mention this before, this was Milton in previous meetings, where I said that it didn't actually feature in Tranche 1 as a priority. We did agree to consider it, and we have done that. And we've worked with, and we continue to do that with colleagues from the City Council as part of their long-term objectives for that particular junction in improving public realm. So hence it has fallen now into Tranche 2. But nevertheless, it does mean that we will continue with that dialogue and we will continue to undertake whatever we can in the short term. We do know, for instance, that the benefits of the bus priority wouldn't necessarily be improved by the public realm improvements at Mitchell's Corner. So it would be hard for us to bring that forward as a proven business case at this time. But I said, we're not dismissing that idea. We think it's a value junction. We take the point that's very useful, and we will consider it as part of Tranche 2 and continue to work with the city on that.
Because there aren't only buses there, there's pedestrians and cyclists too. Thank you.
And could I have a response, please, on the second question from Mike Sargent, which was the workings of the liaison forward, and there may be some conflicts as to how that works, and the executive director decisions that may come along.
I think that's probably best me dealing with that one. What we are asking the board to do is to essentially set the parameters for the preferred option and then work out the detail of that. We would work that through with local liaison form, getting local inputs to that. We would then develop that into a proposal for the consultation. The process would be that formally the executive director has a delegated power. He would consult with the board before it's exercising that power, and that would include feedback to the board comments from the local liaison form.
Okay, thank you. discussed. The next question is Erica McDonald. Number 12 members. Welcome. And like everyone else, 1 minute please if you can.
The City Deal proposals is a vehicle movement along the north-east to south-west alignment which divides the community around Milton Road. A lot of movement by the residents is on foot or by bike and is in fact on the north-south alignment, so people cross Milton Road for schools, libraries, shops, places of worship, community centres, cafes, the river and the pedestrian route into the city centre. Most buses don't stop in Milton Road, so they are of no use to local residents. So far more people walk or cycle across Milton Road rather than along it, because there are quicker and pleasanter routes via the cut-throughs, cul-de-sacs and alleyways. If you were to turn Milton Road into a highway with faster non-stopping buses, it would be more hazardous to cross the road. So my question is, what will the City Deal do to reduce the dividing effect this will have on our community? And will it observe what routes people actually take and provide crossing points or islands along the pedestrian and cycle design lines?
Thank you. One thing.
Well, we're not proposing any additional crossing points as part of our scheme, but having said that, we aren't ruling them out. As the design develops and then we've got the scope to split lines or whatever we can do in centre roads, we will look at it and we will consider it. Tend to avoid signals if we can, because they do interrupt the flow of traffic, and we don't tend to necessarily get that great benefit. So we do need to balance that objective when we come to do it. But absolutely, yes, we need to actually.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Morning, guys. Question number 14, members. Welcome. And 1 minute if you can, please.
In the consultation report recently published, 79% of the respondents thought that enhancing the street scene was either very important, quite important, or important. The City Deal is proposing a solution that would significantly and negatively impact the existing street scene with the removal of a large number of highway trees. Can we, as Milton Road residents, have a commitment from the elected members here to secure a 1 metre width, both sides of the entire length of the road, for an avenue of trees and green verges? And if it is not possible to retain all the existing trees, that mature flowering trees will be replanted to replace them. The resulting residential avenue will protect cyclists and pedestrians from traffic and create a wonderful entrance worthy of our heritage city.
Thank you. So, that was a question actually to members for a commitment that obviously I'll ask officers for opinion on that to come back.
Thank you. Again, as part of the presentation, we're talking about taking the scheme forward into more detailed design and understanding. So we've got to consider this. There is a strategic need as part of city objectives, and there's also a local need as part of what we consider to be acceptable in terms of public realm. So we're considering both angles very seriously. It's important that we do get that much right. The final scheme, though, hasn't yet been determined, and we do need to sort of work through that idea. The question of a metre protected verge may be a solution, but it may not be. It's still got a big moment to commit ourselves to that. There are issues around tree planting, if we do propose new trees, verge maintenance, because it's difficult to maintain in that stretch. So there are things to consider, and we may be able to do better than that anyway.
I think it's fair to say members have answered the questions, so thank you very much. Michael Page. Number 16, members. Welcome. 1 minute, please.
You tell me when to start the clock, I just need to give myself a warning.
Well, you won't start till you start. Okay.
Members will have in front of them the question that I proposed as well, a long one. I'll keep it short. At a recent briefing meeting and also on the City Deal website, it was clearly stated that the option for Milton Road excludes the need for a four-lane carriageway. Looking at this, we find from Hurst Park Avenue to Oak Street Avenue a four-lane carriageway. And everybody knows that you can't fit these things in without compromising safety for cyclists and pedestrians. It shows a shared use path. So my appeal to members here, please, is to recommend to the Executive Board that this section is not taken forward, but to return to officers for revision to at most a single bus lane, to allow for segregation of cyclists and pedestrians and replacement of trees. This section of road also calls for the roundabout to be replaced with traffic signals, despite a majority of 52% opposed or strongly opposed. I can't find any evidence that any consideration has been given to that, or to any ideas submitted by public for redesign. Having ignored these views that this...
Could you sum up then, please?
Yeah, I'll sum up, sure. It's stated that a new style signalised junction would improve safety for cyclists, but when these efforts were made back in 2013 at Mansfield Road, new re-engineering works, it didn't improve the situation, it made it worse. So in view of this record achievement, are you prepared, members, do you believe, members, that officers have provided you with convincing evidence that removal of that roundabout was an improvement in cycle safety? We need to have something to consult on. They didn't even go to consultants to get new designs. So we need to find a better solution. Would you recommend to the board that this is not taken forward?
Page, I'm going to have to stop you. We do have it in front of us, and so you are addressing the members as well.
I'm addressing the members because these are the guys who make decisions, make recommendations.
And the members have it in front of them. So thank you very much for your comments.
Can I get a response from anybody, please?
Martin Simone, I'm sure it's going to come out in discussion. That's what I would say.
Do any members like to make a comment, please?
That's my direction here is that we will discuss it when we discuss the issue. Thank you very much. Luke Tummer.
Dr. Tummer is...
That's...
I'm sorry, I didn't realise that. Dr. Tummer also has a day job, and I'll read what he says. He says he's a resident of Claremont Avenue, so he's going to be severely affected by what happens on Milton Road. He says his concern is that the proposals for closing major roads to general traffic at peak periods is going to significantly change the locations and extent of congestion points in the city. It therefore seems to him to be premature to embark on extensive and disruptive engineering works before the effect of this proposal is better understood. So his question is, could the Assembly members, again, not the officers, but Assembly members, give him their opinion as to what the imperative is that's driving the decisions to proceed with the Milton Road and History Road schemes ahead of any congestion point trials and decisions relating to the city centre access study?
Okay, thank you very much. Again, this is addressed to members. The public questions are there so that members of the public can get a response. Members of the Assembly are open to any channel of communication at all, so it doesn't actually have to be asked, at an Assembly meeting. The same as officers are always open to communication channels. So it would be much better if people were actually just addressed as a general question, and then we could actually ask officers and members form their own opinions, etc. To actually address things to members, it could take forever if we all have conflicting views on something. And that's not the way I want to proceed, okay? But thank you very much for the question again.
Point of order, perhaps that could be put on the protocol for public questions.
Noted. Thank you very much. Richard Taylor. Welcome, Richard. 1 minute, if you could, please.
I'm Richard Taylor. I live in House Home on Milton Road, and I hope that members have read my submission. There have been private secret briefings from officers on the Milton Road scheme, and we hear now that we may have private local liaison forums. I think that's inappropriate, and I hope that the Assembly will encourage transparency and inclusiveness in how the City Deal operates. You could request public local liaison forums via your recommendation on this item today. I think you need to have clarity on your recommendations on the Milton Road scheme which version of the do something proposals are being supported by the recommendation, and which parts of the do something recommendation plan are you supporting. I went to those, one of those briefings, and the officer said their intent was to seek support for the proposed banned turns or not banning turns and for motor lanes, leaving the pedestrian, cycle lanes, parking, trees and verges to be considered later and working with environmental consultants. So I think you should at least make clear that you are the recommendation follows what the officer intended. I'd like to see you go further and recommend segregated cycleways separated from motor traffic along the length of Milton Road by trees and verges, and not to support introducing parking between Arbury Road and King's Hedges Road, because I think there's better use for the road space than for parking in the buffer strip. I've also in my submission asked the Assembly to consider the summary of infrastructure decision-making document which has been produced by the City Deal organisation, particularly when it comes to making decisions on highways, trees. I don't think it's appropriate for officers to make those decisions. I want those decisions to be made by elected council councillors.
Okay. The next question is from Councillor Sam Austin. Welcome.
Thank you.
And please, if you could, 1 minute to summarise your question.
Do I need to switch on?
Big one. Yeah, big one, and that's it.
My question, I'm a Westchester City councillor and here from very concerned residents and many of whom you're seeing today. I'm very concerned that we are listening to the forum does allow, and I'm concerned about the 1 minute and wonder if there is an opportunity to share that dialogue in some kind of general way beyond this. I'm worried I've got 1 minute, so I'll carry on quickly. It really relates to Milton Road and the results of the congestion reduction package. The officer's report on the Milton Road scheme doesn't offer any modelling of the impact of citywide traffic reduction measures. However, the officer's report on the access study, that's paragraph 48, confirms that if congestion is successfully reduced, capacity would exist to support a big expansion in public transport demand. It states, removing congestion on key routes would give immediate improvement in reliability for bus services. Would the Assembly therefore agree that it is sensible to wait until proper evidence is available before committing to new bus lanes on Milton Road, which may not be necessary after all?
Okay, could you summarise?
Harm the environment and the treasured community life. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mendes.
Much that's a question was submitted in writing beforehand, Chair, but I think we covered that one already. The question was submitted in writing talked about all the impacts on citywide congestion. I think the point we've, again, already made as we enter into the next stage of our work on all of these schemes, actually all the interface of one against the other. That will be part of the work that we're doing over the next few months.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the question.
Take the second question about how we carry this down.
I understand that, but we're not going to get into it. But what I will say is it does concern me too about only having 1 minute for questioners. But that's the whole point of submitting a question beforehand, so it's there by 10 o'clock the previous day, so that we can all have a chance to read them. And that's why I'm just asking for a summary of questions. People don't even have to ask questions, they could just say as per written. And so, we are trying to just make the process as good as possible at the moment with so many questions, so thank you for bringing it up. The next questioner is Alison Paul.
Sorry, just quickly, will there be public ongoing sharing of the follow-up from this question?
Yes.
Through the minutes, if nothing else, but like I said before, the channels are always open to members of this Assembly and officers if you have questions at all. And actually quite a few questions probably can be answered outside this meeting. Thank you. Alison Paul. please, 1 minute if you can.
I'm Alex Boyles, representing the Friends of Mitchell's Corner and Mitchell's Corner Chesterton Traders Association. The 2003 Design and Building Brief of Cambridge stated that the single greatest obstacle to community cohesion and development of the Mitchell's Corner area was the overwhelming effect of traffic from the gyratory traffic system. In the new local plan, Policy 21, which will soon be ratified by Westminster, the City recognises Mitchell's Corner as an opportunity area and sets up the objective to reduce the effect of traffic on the area and ultimately to remove the gyratory system in favour of a simpler intersection. This policy has overwhelming support from the residents and traders in the Mitchell's Corner catchment area and our city and county councillors. What measures are the city and county councillors and the City Deal Authority taking to ensure that the City Deal proposals for Milton Road will further this objective to reduce the effects of traffic on the gyratory road system that have blighted this part of Cambridge for decades? And I'd quite like a response from some elected members rather than just our officers, please.
Okay, thank you. But I will ask the officers because I'm sure some of that will come out in debate, as I said before. Officers, please.
Stuart touched on this already. Stuart touched on this already. When the City Deal objectives were set and when the allegations were made, it was primarily to boost prosperity in the main down Milton Road, but also cycle facilities. The current layout we would fully accept is not attractive, it's divisive, but actually works quite well from the point of view of bus journey times. So the proposals come forward with their own urban design work, but actually on our initial assessment actually things worse for buses rather than better. So we feel there's much more work needs to be done before we can bring any sort of proposal forward for Mitchell's Corner. The kind of changes we talk about would cost several millions of pounds, we estimate £4 to £5 million, which is not currently budgeted. But we think the appropriate way forward is to continue to develop that with a bid into tranche 2 of City Deal, which if successful would be early delivery of that in 5 years' time.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for all the questions. As I said, if I went round everyone on the Assembly, we would be here much, much longer, so thank you very much. The last question on this particular agenda item is John Beasley. Hi, welcome. Can we have your name, please?
Mary Hampton, I'm reading this on behalf of the town.
Thank you very much. 1 minute, please, when you're ready.
The City Deal proposals for Milton Road feature traffic lanes of 3 metres width. This width was contrary to Highways Agency guidelines of 2005 for this type of road. And one should not be surprised, given that modern transport lorries and buses are 3 metres, or very close to mirror to mirror. This being the case, can you please state if, for safety reasons, the City Deal team is recommending restricting gross vehicles width along Milton Road?
I think it's quite some questions. Thank you very much, officers.
There are certainly no proposals to restrict vehicles in this Milton Road. The idea of narrowing widths, one of the constraints that we have working in Cambridge City, is that many of the streets are in fact only 6 metres. So by purification, we are having to manage the sequence that works within a very, very tight constrained network. So we are conscious of that, and we do design our schemes to reflect the potentials for it. But it's certainly not unusual in an urban environment to have those narrow lanes. And I take the point about others in the guidelines. There are guidelines. Yes, we would like to have wider lanes, but unfortunately we can't maintain that level of width throughout.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Okay, what I'm going to do now is break for lunch, as I mentioned earlier. I wanted to have public questions so that those that wanted to leave now could leave. Obviously, we'll be discussing the rest of the agenda, the History Road and Milton Road, etc. after lunch. We will resume again at 1:30. Thank you very much.